Take a look at America today.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day. A day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people.
Let's get some expert analysis of the Biden doctrine so far from Hoover Institution senior fellow Victor Davis Hanson. Great to have you back tonight.
Thank you.
Let's start with this. The Chicago Sun-Times has this headline. It says Joe Biden's bait and switch presidency. It says as a candidate, Joe Biden promised voters a center-left agenda and bipartisanship. As a president, he's giving them neither. Biden's deception is based on the oldest marketing technique in the book, bait and switch.
Classic tales of Brer Rabbit. Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, and the Peanut Patch. Brer Fox had the best peanut patch in the country. It was full of lush green vines bursting with plump peanuts that were just about to ripen. All the other creatures on the old plantation were mighty envious of Brer Fox, except for Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit would have been envious too if he hadn't found a way to take advantage of the situation. Brer Rabbit decided to wait until the peanuts were ripe and then sneak through a hole in the fence to snatch whatever peanuts he could. Sure enough, just as soon as the peanuts were ripe, Brer Fox got up bright and early to check on his patch. Right away, he discovered that someone had been stealing peanuts right off the vine. Brer Fox was furious at the robber for ruining all his hard work, and he was determined to catch the thief. Walking around on the outskirts of the patch, he found a hole in the fence, a hole just the right size for a crafty rabbit to slip through. Right there, Brer Fox set a trap. He bent down the branch of an old hickory tree that stood beside the fence and tied a rope to the end of it. At the other end of the rope, he tied a loop, and he set that loop down in front of the hole in the fence and weighed it down with a rock. Then he covered it with leaves and grass. Whoever stepped into that trap would be caught in the loop and strung up in the hickory tree by the leg. Brer Fox was pleased with himself. Now he could catch the thief. That night, when Brer Rabbit sneaked through the hole for more peanuts, he stepped right into the trap. When he kicked away the rock, the loop flew up around his leg, dragging him up into the air between heaven and earth. He was mighty surprised to find himself swinging upside down from the hickory tree. "I hope I don't fall," thought Brer Rabbit, swinging back and forth. Then he had another thought. "I hope I do fall, otherwise I might not get down." And there he hung, swinging back and forth and thinking, trying to figure out what to tell Brer Fox to get out of this one. Just as the sun began to rise, Brer Rabbit heard someone lumbering up the road behind him. By and by, Brer Bear ambled up to the tree and saw Brer Rabbit hanging there, upside down. "Howdy, Brer Rabbit," said Brer Bear, tilting his head to look at Brer Rabbit in the face. "How are you doing this fine morning?" Brer Rabbit smiled a big smile. "Very fine, Brer Bear, very fine. No, sir, you won't catch me complaining today." Brer Bear was puzzled, but it wasn't hard to puzzle Brer Bear. "What are you doing hanging up there in the elements, Brer Rabbit?" he asked. "Well, truth be told, Brer Bear, I'm making $1 a minute, said Brer Rabbit. $1 a minute? How? Brer Fox is paying me to keep watch over his peanut patch, Brer Rabbit explained. Some thief has been stealing his goobers. Yes, sir, this is just about the best job I've ever had. Hanging upside down gives you a whole new perspective on the world. Brer Rabbit paused. You wouldn't... Nah. Wouldn't what? Brer Bear asked. Well, you wouldn't want to take over, would you? I mean, I know you've got a family to feed, and you'd make a mighty fine watchbearer. And $1 a minute is nothing to sneeze at. Brer Bear didn't much like the idea of hanging upside down, but he liked the idea of making $1 a minute. It wasn't long before Brer Bear let Brer Rabbit down, stuck his own leg through the loop, and took Brer Rabbit's place, hanging upside down from the tree.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I think a lot of people said it, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. And he inherited a great vaccination program, and wisely he sort of said this is the Biden vaccination program, that we were vaccinating 1 million a day in a way that the EU or Russia or China was not. And the same thing was true of the economy, that the fundamentals were there with tax reform and energy, increased production and deregulation. He's already tampered with that, and we've got record inflation now in March, and housing and gas is and food are going through the roof when you pour so much printed money at so few goods. So he didn't really have to tamper with that, but he did. I think he's going to leave the China policy and take credit, because that was a wise thing that Trump did, to sort of expose the idea that you appease China and they're going to reform. That's not going to happen. But what I think is the big legacy so far, and the worry, is that all of these other initiatives of the hard left, the woke initiatives, the voter ID initiatives, the open border initiative, the identity politics, the reparations, the Green New Deal, they don't poll 51%, Shannon. And he doesn't have a mandate for them. He has a 50-50 Senate, a very small margin in the House, a non-sympathetic Supreme Court. So you would think he'd bring everybody together and say, look, let's compromise and get some of this and some of that, but he's not. So how does he get the agenda through? He can't do it by policy, so he's doing it by process. So he's saying we're going to get rid of a 233-year-old electoral college. We're going to get a 233-year-old states with the primacy of national election laws. We're going to get rid of that with the national election law. We're going to get rid of 62 years of a 50-state union and bring in 2 states. We're going to get rid of a 150-year tradition of a 9-person Supreme Court. And so he's trying to change the way that we do things, because the way that we do things will not give him the intended result, because the only alternative is to compromise and be a uniter, and he can't do that for a variety of reasons. He's mortgaged his soul to the hard left.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what he told us, and even talked about this on Inauguration Day. He talked about working with both sides and finding compromise. He's talked about bipartisanship. It's something the left told him they didn't like about him during the campaign, but he sold himself as a moderate who would find bipartisan solutions. The Washington Post says this, he is now seeking to redefine bipartisanship. To hear President Biden and his team tell it, a successful bipartisan bill need not attract a single Republican vote. Biden pushed his $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill through the Senate with the support of all 50 Democrats and nary a Republican, yet later declared it a resounding bipartisan triumph. I mean, it seems like we have a lot of language going on with, or games going on with language and semantics. The president doesn't seem to be immune from that. No Republican votes, and yet a bipartisan victory?
Yeah, I think that Joe Biden is not a vigorous 78, and there's a lot of people who he has outsourced this responsibility that have this agenda. But let's be clear. We're talking about a Joe Biden that never existed. Joe Biden, throughout his career, was not a uniter. He was the person that destroyed Robert Bork and Clarence Thomas in their confirmation hearings. This was a guy, when it was popular, was a strong supporter of Southern racists like James O. Eastland. And he was a good friend of Robert Byrd. And he said a lot of divisive things. I mean, if you take any politician in the last 20 years and you collate what they said on race, whether it's you ain't black or you're junkie, or Barack Obama is the first clean, articulate black man, or this donut shop is full of Indians. He said a lot of polarizing things. So this idea of good old Joe from Scranton was a media construct that was resurrected in the campaign because Michael Bloomberg, the compromised uniter, supposedly flamed out, and they were stuck with a bunch of hard left candidates. So they said, well, there's old Joe that didn't really do well, but we're going to resurrect him and say he's a uniter. But Joe was never a uniter. He was always a divisive character, and he'd run twice before and hadn't been successful because he was neither honest about his campaign, he had to drop out, or he was polarizing. And so this myth that he's a uniter, I don't think any of us believed it. It was a media creation, and so when he revealed what he's really about, it's a return to who he is. He always was that way.
Well, this conversation about whether something is bipartisan without getting a single Republican vote is further illustrative of where we may be going. Plenty of executive action, and that is president's purview to use it. Victor Davis Hanson, always great to have you visit with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The branch hung so low that Brer Bear almost bumped his head on the ground as he dangled in the air. "Enjoy yourself, Brer Bear," said Brer Rabbit. Then he ran to Brer Fox's house. "Oh, Brer Fox, wake up and I'll show you who's been stealing your peanuts," Brer Rabbit called from outside Brer Fox's window. Right away, Brer Fox got up and ran off to the patch with Brer Rabbit. There they saw Brer Bear hanging upside down from the tree and grinning bigger than a hyena. "Howdy, Brer Fox," said Brer Bear. "I'm glad I could be out." Brer Bear didn't finish. Brer Fox had thwacked him in the behind. "What'd you do that for? I'm only Ouch!" Brer Bear stopped again as Brer Fox swung his stick once more. It went on like this for about half an hour. Every time Brer Bear tried to explain, Brer Fox thwacked him again. And every time Brer Fox thwacked him, Brer Bear tried even harder to explain. While this was going on, Brer Rabbit slipped away and hid in a nearby pond. He knew that once the thwacking was over, Brer Bear would be coming after him. So he stayed in the pond until he heard Brer Bear furiously lumbering up the road. Only Brer Rabbit's eyes poked out above the mud. Brer Bear thought he was a bullfrog. "Howdy, Brer Bullfrog," grumbled Brer Bear. "You seen Brer Rabbit go by?" "He just went by, chiggerum," said Brer Rabbit. "He went that way, chiggerum," pointing his eyes to the east. "Mighty obliged, Brer Bullfrog," said Brer Bear. And off he lumbered. Brer Rabbit stayed in the pond until Brer Bear was well out of sight. Then he headed off the other way for home, laughing all the way. Brer Rabbit goes fishing for suckers. Everyone on the old plantation felt sorry for Brer Fox. He had worked so hard all spring on his peanut patch, clearing and planting and sowing, only to have his harvest stolen. So all the creatures gathered together to help Brer Fox plant a new patch of peanuts. Brer Bear, Brer Raccoon, and even Brer Rabbit showed up to help Brer Fox replant. Brer Rabbit was feeling guilty because he was the one who had stolen all the peanuts, so he helped too. They got busy clearing the peanut patch, pulling up the old vines and making rows to plant new ones. Now, the weather was mighty hot, and soon Brer Rabbit, who wasn't much of a worker in the first place, got tired. Brer Rabbit didn't want the others to know that he was tired. He knew full well that he was a lazy creature, but he hated for others to know. So he needed a plan. "Is anyone hot?" asked Brer Rabbit, wiping the sweat from his nose. "I sure am," said Brer Bear. "Me too," said Brer Fox. "Me three," added Brer Raccoon. "Well then, I suppose I'll go get us some water," said Brer Rabbit, running off into the nearby woods before anyone could say otherwise. The woods were nice and shady, and Brer Rabbit felt much better being out of the heat. As he looked about, he saw an old stone well with 2 buckets hanging from the top. Brer Rabbit was supposed to be fetching water, but that wasn't his first thought. His first thought was how nice and cool it would be to take a little bath. So into one of the buckets he hopped, and down he went. At first the water was nice and cool, but then it got really cool, and soon after that it turned quite cold. Brer Rabbit began to shiver, and decided it was time to go up. There was only one problem. He had no way to raise himself to the top. He had left the other bucket on the ground at the top of the well. Brer Rabbit started to get scared. There he was, alone and cold, in the bottom of a well, far away from everyone else. As a matter of fact, he wasn't that far from everyone. Brer Fox never let Brer Rabbit go too far out of sight. He knew that Brer Rabbit was always plotting something, so he had followed Brer Rabbit. From behind a nearby tree, Brer Fox had seen Brer Rabbit hop into the bucket. Now why is he going down there? Brer Fox thought to himself. There's nothing down there but cold water. And Brer Rabbit's much too smart to get himself stuck down there for no good reason. He must be keeping something in the old well. Something he doesn't want us to see. Brer Fox thought he had it all figured out. The old well must be where Brer Rabbit kept his treasures. What treasures, Brer Fox didn't know. But he decided right then and there to make a deal with Brer Rabbit. Brer Rabbit! His voice echoed down the well to the shivering rabbit. What are you doing down there? Brer Rabbit knew that Brer Fox was his only chance to get out. He thought quickly and answered, I'm fishing for suckers. Are there many of them down there? Asked Brer Fox. Scores and scores, said Brer Rabbit. Come on down and see. Brer Fox knew that there wasn't any suckers down there, but he did want to see Brer Rabbit's treasure. So he hopped into the second bucket and down he went. As he rode down, Brer Rabbit started riding up in the other bucket. Halfway down, going pretty fast, Brer Fox passed Brer Rabbit, who was singing this song. Goodbye, Brer Fox, take care of your clothes, for this is the way the world goes. Some go up and some go down, but you'll get to the bottom safe and sound. Brer Fox just waved goodbye in confusion. When he reached the bottom, he began looking around for the treasure. Sometime later, Brer Rabbit sent the others to help him out. And ever since then, whenever Brer Rabbit wanted a good laugh, he'd ask Brer Fox if he'd like to go fishing for suckers. If you enjoy the story, be sure to give a like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
First time two women, the Vice President of the United States and the Speaker of the House, sat behind the President as he delivered his address to the nation. It sent the message to girls and women that beyond the sky is the limit. We would say the sky is the limit years ago, but now with the technology that we see, there is no limit. The President's speech reflected that message. It's one thing to have two women there. It's remarkable, actually, I say immodestly. But what's really important about the night was what the President said in his speech. It was a triumph for women, women at home, women in the workplace, equal pay for equal work, paid family and medical leave, affordable child care, universal pre-K. I love that because it's children learning, parents earning, men and women, but largely women as caregivers. The Violence Against Women Act that he urged the passage of in the Senate, and many other initiatives for women. The list goes on. This address was a recognition that we can only build back better with the fuller participation of women in our economy. So I indeed thought it was a triumph for women. This is an ambitious...
The most radical line tonight was when Joe Biden said, "We the people is the government." No, Joe, you seriously misunderstand the Constitution. We the people is not the government. We are not a country of dictators in Washington running the people. We the people is the people, damn it, who are in charge of the government, whose freedom you're taking away, whose liberty you're stripping away. And it showed the arrogance of the hard left that they think that l'État c'est moi. He is the state, is what he said, and he's we the people. I mean, holy cow, that was radical. And that's where today's Democrats are.
In order to build back better, we have to prioritize our caregiving workforce and free up hardworking Americans. My plan will put 3 million Americans to work. We'll work with states to to offer every 3 and 4-year-old child in America access to free, high-quality preschool. Right now, low and middle-income families
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. You're free thinking, innovative, and totally open minded. Tommy Nation Politics. Please make sure that you visit us on www.tommynationpolitics.com, or if you want to send us messages to facebook.com/Tommy Nation Politics, guys. How's everyone doing today? Good? Awesome. We've got a great guest for you back. Our admin of Facebook, Michael Burgess, Dr. Michael Burgess, talking to us here. Doc, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How's it going? Did you see the pre-video?
I did watch the whole thing.
Oh,
I love children's books. I have 3 children. It's kind of nice. I almost went to sleep.
The Brer Rabbit.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
The Uncle Remus, the Remus stuff. It's super like Let's get John here. Yeah. Hey. So my parents used to read them to me when I was a kid, and
yeah,
I could barely understand because of the Ebonics, but they always had a lesson like that one with the bait and switch.
Your parents spoke Ebonics?
Well, the books are written in Ebonics.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah. I tried to read one. It was super hard to read. I was like, what are they saying? Lord, you gotta sound it out as like IPA and stuff like that. But that one, with the bait and switch, that one's one of my favorites. My absolute favorite is the Tar Baby. The Tar Baby is my favorite. You know, Brer Rabbit, he's walking down the road, he sees a Tar Baby. Brer Fox is always trying to get him. Brer Fox is always trying to get Brer Rabbit and eat him. Yeah. And then Brer Rabbit's too smart. He's always getting out of it. You know, I wish that was like the American people, though. You know, we have the Brer Fox, the Democratic Party.
Good segue.
Literally, Malcolm X called them the fox. The fox is smiling.
Democrats.
It means he likes you.
Right.
And the Republicans are the wolves. But for some reason, we're always falling for the, we're always falling for the foxes. Why is that?
Well, dude, I live in Chicago, man. I grew up in Chicago. You know, I've listened to Democratic politics. You know, they talk a good game. We're the big tent. We're for the black people. We're for the working man. We'll build you free houses. We'll give you a free school. We'll give you everything's free. And you heard him say it there. I mean, Ted Cruz, of all people, I mean, go on, Ted Cruz, saying government, we the people means the government. I mean, that's what that is. That's what that means. I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy because Democrats have historically been the party of racism.
Yes, the Klan and the Dixiecrats
Yeah.
famously did the
And
Dixiecrats.
Joe Biden was part and parcel of them. I mean, Robert Byrd was his best buddy.
You know, Robert Byrd was his best buddy. He stood up for Strom Thurmond. He said he was a really stand-up guy.
Great guy.
He never called me boy. He never called me boy.
And he really messed up Corn Pop. You know, he really Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he took care of him. Oh my Lord,
Doc, I have to tell you.
And if you're black, I mean, if you don't vote Democrat, you're not black. Did you know that?
You ain't black. Look, buddy, you look fat.
Did you know that, Thomas?
I mean,
did you know that?
Joe Biden told me that.
Oh my Lord.
Fortunately, I've hated Joe Biden for the longest time.
Good for you.
Even before he was president of the United States.
Me too.
And, I was hoping to God that Trump was gonna pull out a victory. Deep down, I couldn't tell anyone that because I would have been disowned.
That blows my mind to hear someone like you say that. That's amazing for you to say that.
Well, I mean, most of the time, I'm not thinking about the lesser of two evils. I think the lesser of two evils, the evil wins.
Right.
And that's like been the culmination of our entire history up to the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, after the Vietnam War just kind of like imploded. And then people started becoming go along to get along. The Industrial Revolution came. The corporatists started buying the politicians. And this is what's going on. This is what's happened now. It's neoliberalism, Dr. Burgess. That's the word for it. Where the corporate sector is now owns the private the corporate sector, the private sector now owns the public sector.
Can I ask you?
There is no in between.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Yes, please.
From your perspective, what define neoliberalism and what kind of politician defines a neoliberal? Tell me that, because I hear these terms. I hear neoconservative and I hear neoliberal. I know you hate neoliberals, and I hear even like people like, you know, Crystal Ball on Rising. She's pretty progressive. She's an MSNBC, but she's very, very honest. Jimmy Dore talks about this neoliberalism.
Right. That's a really good question.
I hear that combined with the fact, I hear like in conjunction with that, I hear, just from my perspective, correct me or you fill me in, like right-wing Democrat or corporate Democrat or it's okay. So you just explain neoliberal to me so that.
Okay. So, as you know, that there.
I mean, I know the term means neoliberal means new liberal, whatever that, but I want to know what that means.
Yeah, but it's not okay. So. You know, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a walk back because we have to go back to classical liberalism and John Locke.
I know what that is. That's
you know,
my guy.
Okay, and so what did he,
liberal.
Doc? What did he advocate for? What did he advocate for, John Locke?
He's where we got our democracy from. He was for individual responsibility, freedom of thought, stuff like that.
Okay, but specifically, he had terms. He had life, liberty, and the property, right? Correct. Owning of property.
Correct.
Okay, so the owning of property is really, it's a big to-do with the wealthy. The wealthy owned property. Back in the days, there were sharecroppers who didn't own property. They lived off the land and they were like renters. Then there were slaves. Then the owners, the wealthy, owned land. They were the owner. They owned property, right?
Yeah.
So, basically, however the free market culminated into coming into existence, how we believe that it's a free market. Basically, the tenant. This is going to be tough for you, Doc, because you hail Reagan a lot. Okay,
I do.
But
I do.
He always said stuff like let the private sector, the private sector and the public sector be separate, right?
Yep.
Okay, so. That's what they hail. That's what they believe. They believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right?
But Crystal Ball call Reagan a neoliberal. I was like, wow. I know he's a former Democrat.
Yes, he was the first. He's the
JFK guy.
Well, JFK wasn't so much
things like I was alive then. He was my first vote for president. He was the reaction to Jimmy Carter, and then he was against Walter Mondale of all people. My mom owned a business. I mean, this doesn't come out, and I grew up in a Democratic machine, so. I obviously have an inherent bias against the Democratic Party and the Democratic machine.
So, it's because you lived there so long? It's because you live with them so long, or what? Is that why? Because I don't hate Republicans like that.
He was awesome. I mean, it's kind of like rewriting history. He also said things, Thomas, like it's not our money, it's your money. That's what he said about taxes and stuff. He's like, it's not our money, it's your money.
Right.
And he had the same idea that JFK did. He's like, you keep more of your money. There was no such thing. Trickle down is a bullshit, made up term from academia and you know, the New York Times and bullshit places like that. They call it trickle down economics. That's not what it's called. It's called supply side economics. It's very simple. It's perfectly valid and viable economic model that we've used. It just says, like, if people keep more of their own money, they invest it, they save it, they start businesses, their quality. I mean, if you're bringing home more of your check, what are you going to do with it? Oh, what's happening? Oh, Reagan. Here's Mike.
Government is not the solution to our problem.
There's he.
Government is the problem.
Government is the problem.
From time to time, we've been tempted to believe that society has become too complex to be managed by self-rule, that government by an elite group is superior to government for, by, and of the people.
That was the central idea that won Reagan president.
That's what you believe in, right?
Sounded consistently for years.
Not
or by for the people, right?
Thomas, he won 49 states. You want to talk about like the electoral politics?
Oh, he shellacked.
He won 49 states.
Walter Mondale.
Everyone voted for him. Democrats voted for him.
Jimmy Carter was upset.
Everybody voted for him.
Well, because of the rhetoric, Doc. Because of the rhetoric.
When he signed in tax reforms, guess who the Congress was? It was Al Gore. It was, who are some of the big Democrats? Joe Biden was around. He signed it, trumpeted it. All these Democrats, or some of them are still around.
That's an endorsement.
And they hailed that stuff. They knew, because who gave them the model? It was JFK gave them the model in the 60s. JFK did the same thing. All right. I don't get bogged down in Reagan Reaganomics.
So, I appreciate
neoliberal to me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, well, first of all, I just want to say that I love Reagan's rhetoric, and I believe that the government should work for the people instead of the few, which is what it works for now. But I believe that with his policies, what Reagan was doing was saying that it should work for the people. But what he meant was, when he said the people, he meant the private sector. He meant the private sector. So he meant businessmen. He meant wealthy businessmen.
For the stuff,
he meant wealthy, white-owned, landowning businessmen, right? Because that's what his policies were geared towards. His policies were geared towards business, right?
Everyone's business. Black entrepreneurship. I mean, it all grew, Thomas. It wasn't just white people. I mean, that's a rap. That's a bad rap.
It's a bad rap? How so?
It is a bad rap.
Okay. Explain why.
Explain
why.
Because a rising tide lifts all boats. He opened up. He had what was the guy's name? He was a former football player. Part of the initiatives that he created started things like inner city enterprise zones.
Doc, I want you to listen to this real quick.
Sure. 3-minute theory. Okay. What is neoliberalism? Oh, here we go. Thank you. Who is this? A think tank, or is this university?
No.
Or what?
What's going on with my sound? So we're having so many sound problems today.
I know you are.
That the economy should be deregulated and privatized, or even simpler.
Let me rewind this. All right.
We'd bring you a concept that you might not know by name, but have surely felt by its far-reaching effects: neoliberalism. Simply, neoliberalism is the idea that society should be shaped by the free market, and that the economy should be deregulated and privatized. Or even simpler, what works in the private sector will also work in the public sector. Wow. But it doesn't stop there. Neoliberalism also involves the idea that the public sector should not only follow the private sector's rules, but it should also subsidize the private sector, which we know is now owned by fewer and fewer global capitalists. While neoliberalism began to reach its current heights in the late 1970s, it has its roots in Enlightenment liberal humanism, or classical liberalism, the belief that people were free to live their lives without a great deal of interference from the government. So what does neoliberalism have to do with classical liberalism, and why does it matter? Well, neoliberalism isn't really new itself, but is a new take on classical liberalism. Neoliberalism uses the language and tenets of classical liberalism in ways that now benefit large corporate interests. For example, many of the tenets of liberalism were enacted in the name of equality, meaning that free market policies were supposed to allow people an equal chance into the marketplace. Under neoliberalism, however, the free market loses its ties to democratic ideals and instead allows corporate capitalists to open up previously unavailable markets. Basically, the free market becomes increasingly free for wealthy corporate capitalists and less free for everyone else. Although neoliberalism is a discourse that we cannot necessarily see, it has real material effects on many aspects of our lives. Let's take the American public.
Uh-oh.
What's going on with my sound?
I don't know, it just kind of stopped.
Of liberty and equality. But with the rise of neoliberalism and in turn education reform movements, the lines between public and private education...
It's because it's the witching hour.
What we now see is heavy private investment from private individuals.
Heavy private investment from individuals.
Neoliberals use the business-laden language of choice, free market, and deregulation to dismantle
Choice,
and then reconstruct
free market,
public
deregulation.
in a corporate image.
All for it.
This all happens through the use of language that sounds...
You're all for
lovely and
neoliberalism?
free, but ultimately,
I'm all for
choice.
choice. Private choice and private ownership.
So,
stronghold in the public sector.
this is what we're going to talk about today, Doc. We're going to talk about how we all need to separate the rhetoric from the reality.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
The rhetoric from the reality. That's why I called this the bait and switch.
Okay.
Joe Biden's doing the exact same thing. Corporate choice. By the people, for the people, what Reagan was talking about, what he was talking about was his friends. Reagan was a rich guy. Remember that? From California?
He was an actor.
His friends were wealthy, and they owned land. What he was talking about when he was talking about the people, he wasn't talking about you. Okay. He was talking about his wealthy landowning friends and their stocks and their corporate industries and their venture capitalist entrepreneurships.
Really?
Yes. And you know what? You know how that's proven? It's proven today. Today, of all days, Bill Gates has a patent and a copyright on a vaccine. He seeded his own money. This is your choice. This is your choice, Dr. Burgess, coming into manifestation. Your choice coming into manifestation is a patent on a vaccine with Bill Gates.
Right.
You see how the private sector, the corporatists, are now running the government?
Well, for a while.
Are we? But are we? We're not.
No, we're getting shut out. They can decide. They can chop off the president. They can say the president is banned.
Right.
So where does that leave us?
Right. And they're checking our facts. They're giving us handbooks. They're changing our behaviors. This is what happens.
So neoliberalism is not conservatism or populism.
No, it can encompass both the parties. Both parties are neoliberals. I'm
for small government, and I am for deregulation in the sense that allows an absolutely level playing field, a low barrier to business startup, which I'm a small business.
I understand.
A low ratio of corporate tax. Excuse me, but yeah. All your favorite, I'm going to educate whoever does watch this. There's only one person so far, but if this goes on our stream, and I know a lot of your progressive friends,
hundreds.
People use this
thousands.
This ridiculous term of socialism from both the right and the left, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Excuse my language, but they don't know what socialism is or means. They talk about like Europe is socialist, or it's democratic socialist. I'm like, it is not anything of the sort. They will tell you for the fact that it is not socialist whatsoever. Europe is run by private industry with a heavy, heavy, heavy tax, not on businesses, but on labor. That is, a working person in those countries pays 30, 40, 50, or more, 60% of their paycheck to the government. So they call it a welfare state. And they will tell you that for the fact, the reason they won't tax a corporation is because they understand all a corporation is going to do, that's just going to raise the prices. They're already taxing the shit out of people, leaving them with 60, 40, 50% of their paycheck to live on. And they get some free stuff. Okay, they get to send their kid to school. They get, if the wife gets pregnant, she gets to stay home. for a year or whatever the fuck that is, fine. This guy, government pays you for that sort of stuff. Free shit all over the place, but it's not free. And people know, I checked this out because someone got in a debate with me. I went and looked. I said, do you know what the average corporate tax rate in Europe is? It's like 21%. And that's like a median. Actually, it's only because there's a couple like Germany, a couple others have a fairly high, like 25, 26. The majority of the countries I looked at have like a 17, 18% corporate tax rate.
Welcome the DAGDA 91.
Can you imagine if anybody, if Tulsi Gabbard, if Andrew Yang, never mind Ted Cruz or Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump, tried to lower the corporate tax rate below 20% or tried to lower it to 20%, they're having a bitch fit about it going from like 21 to 25 or 28, and that's like not enough. So, I mean, taxing a corporation, taxing a business is kind of stupid. We collect taxes when they buy stuff. I mean, they pay a shitload of taxes. And the income tax, don't even get me started on income tax because that's just a complete farce. But I'm just telling you.
I understand. You've told me before. I listen to you. And I know where you're coming from. I know you're a business owner.
I'm a free enterprise person. Maybe not.
I know, me too. Same.
Free enterprise person.
Look, but Doc, this is what I'm trying to get across.
Okay.
Is the fact that this is not about us. And their rhetoric is not about us. Okay? And they get off. They literally get this plan, the Democrats and Republicans, they literally get this plan to work by relating to us and parroting our principles and values. They don't believe in them at all. But they'll parrot them so they can relate to us. And then they'll poll on a scale of 1 to 10. When Kabbalah said the kids in cages were immoral, did you get touched? Were you crying? Did you get thrilled? Do you relate to her more because she's a black and Indian woman? Please press 1, right? So that's what they get off on, Doc.
Right.
We have to eliminate that. Okay. We have to focus on the policies that are coming into fruition.
This is where you and I agree.
What's going on? What's happening?
This is where you and I agree, and why, I started to realize that I'm not really a conservative. I'm definitely not a neoliberal. Maybe I'm not a Reaganite anymore. Maybe I was young and I didn't completely get it.
I understand.
But I was raised in a family that was Republican, heavily Republican, business owners. We were on the south side of Chicago. I mean, the south side Irish, the Democrat machine. I worked for my cousin. Here's how things work in a machine like that. And I'm, you want to tell me an alternative? You want to say the government should run the economy? I'm like, I don't know, unions, whatever. I just worked for my cousin. We were building his restaurant, and I was at college. I come home for the summer. I go to work for him. He pays
Dagda, you're very vocal, Dagda.
He pays me in cash. He's got this because he's a trader.
Make sure you follow, share, subscribe. Go ahead. Sorry.
And this is a guy, by the way. I mean, we went to the same high school. He's a little older than me. He's married to my cousin now, so he's like my cousin-in-law. He lived across the street from me. Chris Pappas. He went to Miami of Ohio on a football scholarship because he's athletic. Got like,
yay, Dagda followed me.
B's in finance and on a scholarship he starts as a runner downtown Chicago, figures out how to buy enough money, save enough money to leverage buying his own seat. He gets on the commodities exchange and now he's a multimillionaire. Now he owns like half of the South Side. So I go to work for him. I mean, God love him. God bless freaking America. He's like Greek and Italian extraction. His people were shit on.
Doc, I love your old quintessential professorial stories.
But
you really have to learn how to just put in segments there, sound bites.
Fine.
But I get it. I noticed that you conservatives are always telling stories and talking about your perspectives and stuff. That's cool.
I go to work for him. He pays me in cash. I did whatever it took. I roofed the thing. We put up drywall. I was just a laborer. And on private property, these dudes walk up to me and a couple of my cousins working for him, walk up to us and say, "Where's your cards?" And we're like, "What card? What are you talking about? What cards?" He's like, "Union cards. Where's your cards?" We're like, "We're not union. We work for our cousin." Walk off. The next day, there's a bunch of picketers walking up and down the front, saying Chris Pappas is a union buster, blah blah blah. And until he pays, my other cousins I'm in real estate investment. The city, not private enterprise, the city will come and shut your ass down.
What's the point? What's the point?
They'll come and shut your ass down, send out their goons until they're a mob. I say this all the time. They are the mob in Chicago used to be Al Capone. Now it's the mayor and the fucking city council and the Cook County board. They send out their goons and they shut your business down until you pay them. They fine you, or they give you, they have all these regulations, all this shit you got to pay up, and then they'll leave you alone.
So Dagda says liberalism is totalitarianism. I want to know what that means, Dagda. You got some interesting quotes here. And Western hegemony. Not familiar with what's hegemony, Doc?
Hegemony means kind of like one group owns everything. Sorry. One group runs everything. Hegemony means
cool.
When he says end Western hegemony, he's saying, to open up ideas from other parts of the world. Western hegemony, like the West is too influential or powerful. Like everyone believes in Plato.
We're the richest country on the face of the world.
We follow Plato's Republic.
It also says nobody should have to work to be valued by society, whether it's by communism or liberalism. Dagda, I love your
that's like hippie bullshit. Shut up.
Actually, it's really
nobody should have to work to what? Be valued?
So do you think Jesus should have had a job when he was going around Nazareth healing people? Nah.
He did have a job.
What was his job? What was his job description? Jesus's.
Preacher, rabbi.
Yeah?
And he made money.
Did he pay taxes?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
They did. They kept
render to Caesar what is due Caesar.
They had a treasury. They had money, man. They made a lot of money. They had rich people.
Jesus didn't make a lot of money.
They made money.
The disciples were always sleeping at other people's houses all the time. Lazarus, Martha's, Mary's.
Judas.
Peter, Paul, Mary.
They had a purse. They had money. They didn't they weren't street people living off of like garbage cans. And
so
shit. They did okay.
So there you go. So, but was that work by our conventional wisdom and social norm standards? Was that work? Was it? Did he fill out a W-2?
No.
Did he have two forms of identification?
No.
Did he tell the IRS and notify them? Did he get healthcare, pensions, 401ks, benefits? Did he get stock options?
What's he saying?
Doc. Okay.
How does work does give you some value in the sense that you're contributing. What I was taught to do is when you do a job, no matter what it is, whether you pay $10 an hour, $25 an hour, $100,000 a year, $10 or basically free. You do something because it needs to be done right. That's how I look at stuff. That's how I was raised. You do stuff because it's internally, it's satisfying to you and satisfying to God if you believe in that kind of thing, to the universe, because you contribute something. You leave whatever you did in a better condition than what it started as, whatever that is. And that's what
that
work
sounds
is.
like some hippie bullshit to me.
Well, good. Then I'm a damn hippie. I was born in the 60s.
I'm just kidding, Doc. I don't care. I don't care what you are. I don't care who you are. All I know is that these two parties are funneling money to their donors, and we have to stop it. So
I agree.
This is my problem. This is my problem is that my left wing, we're so fucking triggered by anybody who doesn't fucking acquiesce to the conventional wisdom and the social norms. Your wing of the party so busy telling anecdotal, quintessential stories of their childhood and fucking talking about the free market like it exists anymore. That we don't see what's right in front of us.
The free market exists.
It scares me. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
It very much does.
First of all,
it's not easy, but it does.
Okay. Arguing about that is a whole different conversation because I can tell you 10 different ways it doesn't. I can tell you 10 different ways it doesn't. And it's all being proven today because Bill Gates owns a patent on a vaccine.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
I do.
And do you understand that they're checking our facts? Do you understand that they are giving us so you probably never worked at a corporate company.
Yes, I did.
So then you know that at day one you get the handbook. Day two, you sign all of the waivers saying on social media, can't talk about the company, you're on the clock all the time. Day three, they walk you through the culture. They call it the culture, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is happening right now?
Why do you think
We are literally in a corporation where we don't clock out. Doc.
Why do you think I'm self-employed?
Okay, this is not okay, but still, you're still not safe, Doc. Okay, you might think you're safe, you're not.
Well, COVID.
This is bleeding into every. This is bleeding into exactly. Isn't it? Didn't it? Didn't it tell you? Didn't it reveal everything to you? Didn't it reveal that we are living in an oligarchy, corporatocracy, where Mark Zuckerberg gets to make technocratic rules, and Jack Dorsey literally gets to silence the president.
Not for it.
Jeff Bezos literally gets to do whatever he wants with his own company.
Yeah.
And he doesn't pay, he pays $0 in federal income tax. And then we have Bill Gates buying patents on a vaccine.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they all double their wealth and 8 million people slip in the
what's happening in India,
Is this a system that's working for us? No. They're not talking about us.
So
this
between
you
and
an illusion.
Dagda, so what is the just society then? Where am I wrong?
Look, I don't really. Okay, I haven't gotten that far yet. We need to take care of the problem.
You know what? So what? What we follow China? What? What's Western hegemony? What's hegemonous? What does the West do that's hegemonous? Tell me, Dagda. Go ahead, write it out.
Are you guys having a fight?
I suppose.
Dagda,
he's just throwing up freaking jargon, and I'm like, multipolarity. What does that mean?
I don't know.
This guy, who is this person?
Hey, it's 2:00 in the morning. On live stream. And let me tell you this, Dagda.
Good Lord.
Anybody who follows me on Tommy Nation Politics and subscribes, I'm on your side.
Nature loves you. Nature loves you for the reason why.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him, Dagda. You're amazing.
Nature doesn't love us. Nature is nature. Nature, unless, I mean, do you believe nature is a god or nature is a thing or a person? Or is it us? Nature loves you? What the fuck does that mean?
I don't care. We're not talking about
Lord Almighty.
My show, and we're talking about the bait and switch that's going on right in front of our eyes.
Look, and Thomas, you and I are. This is why we get along. Is kind of
we do, and I don't want to fight with you at all. But I just have to get a message across.
I hate cronyism. To me, my whole life, I've always believed big business and big government are the same thing. They're the same thing. That's been true. That's been true my entire life.
I just have to. Respectfully, I have to say, I love you to death, but I already know that we get along, okay? We're not fighting, okay?
Okay, so what are we talking about? So what are we trying to say?
I'm gonna get up. This is the simplest way I can explain it to you. So, you know how you make a little a vision statement to see what you want to get to? If you want to get somewhere, you first have to make a list, right? Of how you're going to get there, right?
Sure do.
So, say you walk into a house, it smells like shit because there's 2 big turds in the middle of the rug. Right.
Okay. I've been in those houses. I'm a real estate.
Okay, and you moved in. You just moved in, right? Are you going to put all your furniture with the smelly turds? What's the first thing you're going to do before
you're going to fumigate?
Yes, Doc. So that's where we're at. So you could what is nature? We could argue with Dagda later about what nature is.
Sign me up.
Right out.
Yeah,
the number one thing we have to do. This is a very serious thing.
Yeah.
Because it's getting bad, and it's getting so bad
conservatism doesn't enslave people. Shut up.
Oh my God! Why are you letting him trigger you?
I don't even know. It's like,
why do you guys get so triggered by this shit? You guys insurrect all day long just over anything.
Rome.
I swear to God.
Western Germany. Blah blah blah. Yeah, ban Shakespeare. Blah blah blah. Quit reading Plato. Fuck you.
Dagda, it's a free speech. I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. You can write whatever you want. You're not getting stuck.
He can, but I can also, or she. I don't know who she is or he is. I can.
Dagda seems like a guy. She gave us birth. I don't know. Maybe a girl.
You and me.
Dagda, are you a male or female or a trans or not? Other thing.
Right. We can't even assume anymore.
I don't care. I mean, look, I don't care. And my intentions are not racial or homophobic, so I don't care. Absolutely. And you can cancel me all you want. I don't give a shit. I'll still read Dr. Seuss all I want. But I do. Right in their faces.
We fumigate. He's a he, him. Okay.
So thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc, for putting me back on the track. Yes. Step 1. Get the turds off the rug and into the garbage.
Clean out the swamp. Gotcha.
And that's why Tommy Nation Politics is here. So
I'm out there.
I'm not here to fight with you about the free market.
Term limits.
We can do that later.
What do we do?
Okay, so There's
We
many options to do this.
We elect new people. What do we do?
No. We don't elect new people, and we don't run for office because we'll just be corrupted. In this system, it's impossible not to be corrupted in this system. Impossible.
Impossible not.
If you're not corrupted, you end up getting primaried by your own party, like Tulsi Gabbard. Or you end up getting destroyed by like Donald Trump.
Every system corrupts people.
No, it doesn't. Not every system.
A
system corrupts people. What about the system where you like wake up and you do some push-ups and you work out and you eat some chicken and you get healthy and you fucking
government system, ruling system.
Government. So you're making generalizations and you're talking with broad brushes. Every system. Every system.
You're saying. Well, I mean,
you said systems.
Yes, you're saying
systems are
This
procedural.
system. I'm guessing you're talking about America and the Constitution.
Right. I am. And the Constitution, by the way, beautiful. We have an opportunity now, Doc, to make that Constitution mean something for the first time in our history.
I hope
that all men are created equal, and we the people can establish justice. And by the we the people, it is not Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. Okay, good.
How? What do we do?
Okay, Doc, this is my bright idea.
Anarchy?
I'm a musician. I don't have a lot of bright ideas, but this is my bright idea because the Constitution, even though they're all given their handbooks and their fact checkers, we still have a Constitution that gives us power. Okay, it says in the Constitution they've been trying for the longest time to destroy the Constitution. Both parties they tried for the longest time because they know that their power is literally a shadow on the wall, just like Lord Varys said in Game of Thrones. It is a trick, a deceit. The only way they can literally have power over us is if we allow it, because we are the people. So this is why they're doing all of this stuff, the fact checking, the propaganda, and the MSNBC. This is why they're doing it, because they have to make us believe that this is real. If we don't believe it, if we stop playing the game is over. So that's what I'm trying to say. So that means we have to stop talking about the free market and whether it's real. We have to stop arguing with Dagda about nature and giving us birth. We have to only focus on the goal,
which is
for reals. Well, step one.
What's the
step
goal?
one? Get the Democrats and Republicans out of power. They've been in power for too long. And no political party in our history has ever been in power this long. They are literally in power just to maintain it. That's it.
True.
We have to make everyone see this, and we can't make everyone see this arguing about the free market.
Where do you think Trump came? I think it's ripe for that, Thomas. Where do you think Trump came from? Why do you think Andrew Yang is going to win the mayorship in New York? It's ripe for it. It's very ripe for it. But you spelled it out. You see what happened to Trump for going against the establishment.
Yeah, it was still.
He was the biggest big pocket they ever had. He was a big Democrat. He was a Clinton guy, and they never forgave him for going wherever. I swear to God, I thought the dude, I thought it was a joke. I thought he was a plant by Bill and Hillary Clinton to basically destroy the Republican Party, to say the craziest shit that Republicans really want to hear, that people like me, populists, really want to hear. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like, he's just killing this place. He's just destroying the Republican establishment. And he did. And he has.
I have a question. I don't understand this. And I'm being honest with you. I don't understand why you think that Hillary and Bill want to destroy the Republican Party. They are the Republican Party. After Reagan destroyed Jimmy Carter and Walter Mondale, the Democrats became the Republican Party. That is their whole entire. Nancy Pelosi famously said, "I want a strong Republican Party." They're both right-wing, neoliberal parties.
They're in the Democratic Party. I'm saying that
they don't want. Hillary doesn't want to destroy the Republican Party. Hillary is the Republican Party. They are the Republican. They are the party.
Well, that's what I mean.
These parties are one.
Okay, I was wrong in that I didn't realize Trump was serious. That he was freaking for real. He comes out. And almost every policy he did, I'm like, wow, he really did that. Holy shit, he really did that. Like,
well, I mean, some of his policies were great. Some of his policies were shitty. And he got out of Afghanistan. He got the Taliban.
Tried to.
I mean, we're supposed to be out.
I still want to do
supposed to be out in 2 days.
I want to do a stream about that because our media, dude, like you're talking about politicians. It's one thing. What we really got to change before that is our education system and our media. That's where real corruption.
We're changing our media right now. But what do you mean by our education?
Absolutely. System? Well, because it's like things like the 1619 project, the critical
What's that?
theory.
What's that?
That basically that
Explain it.
America was not started. This is the New York Times, right? That America didn't start.
Okay.
That
I mean, that's when the Pilgrims came to Plymouth Rock, right?
Correct.
Right. So
this bullshit that the Western Hemisphere was some Willy Wonka land where everyone loved each other and the natives were all beautiful people. And
I have never heard any of this
off
stuff.
the land, and this is all it's about, dude. Like,
I've never heard any of this stuff.
So
what is this called? This is called critical theory. It's not called
critical. Pardon me.
Critical theory.
Critical theory.
Critical theory. I'm trying to follow you. Our listeners are too.
Okay.
So, what is this called?
Critical theory.
Critical theory.
And it's turned into things like critical race theory.
And you're saying you're saying it's being taught.
It was a way. I don't want to go too much in the weeds with your people. It boils down to the fact that it basically creates a binary understanding of everything that happens in history, that everything is about an oppressor and someone who's oppressed. That's all history is about. It's about power and people who don't have power. And everything has to be read through this idea that, black people didn't have power, or the natives didn't have power and they got shit on and whatever. And it takes no account of like any kind of positive movement, or the fact that the majority of people who founded this country, who grew up in Western civilization, thank you, Dagda, most people, worked their asses off their whole lives to eke out some sort of, reasonable existence and died. That's like 99% of the human race throughout all of history, through every system that's ever existed, whether it's monarchy, whether it was communism, whether it was socialism, whether it's been some forms of democracy, even back in the Greek days. Theocracies, we have plenty of those too. Most people, not black-skinned people or red-skinned people or this group of people, all people were run over by the few who held power, whoever that was.
Okay.
And that's happened in Africa, where there are black people. It's happened in the East, where there are Chinese people. It's happened in the Middle East, where there's Middle Eastern people and Indian people.
Is your concern that the white people are being shellacked? Like they're the ones being
Are we not?
raked through the coals?
I'm a white man. Jesus,
you are.
Christ.
Hear you roar. Hear you roar.
I just basically deserve to lose my house, get shot in the fucking head because
Who's saying these things?
Everybody, Tom. It's every freaking where. Everywhere. You can't even. People are taking words like whitening off of toothpaste. And they're teaching this in school.
I don't understand why you care.
Standing up, apologizing to girls and to black people for being white.
I've never. Hey, Doc, have you seen this shit? I've never seen this shit
happening.
Before. Did I graduate before this shit happened? I must have. Never saw this shit.
You're saying I'm not white.
I'm sorry, you're not white. Doc, are you white?
He's making my point. There's no fucking such thing as white. My ancestors, we're all African, basically.
I honestly believe that if
you're Homo sapien,
you guys literally care more about this than we do. Well, the only thing we want to do is not get shot by cops. The only thing we want to do is not get shot by cops. That's it. That's all we ask for. All we ask for is not to get shot by cops.
Happening.
That's it.
That's happening like a dozen times, dude. Like that is more bullshit.
I mean, God. Look, so quantifiably, because we talk about pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have when you have an organization that answers to someone who's been in the same organization for more than 10 years, who's policed by that organization, who has no one to answer for in that organization, and the society, they're held on a pedestal, and their police reports are read as the gospel truth. Now, add in a thin blue line. Look, Doc, I tried to talk to cops. Okay, I didn't just have this. I just hate this hatred. I don't just spew hatred. Okay, I hate cops. I do, and I've tried to talk to them because I don't like hate. I'm an artist. I like to make beautiful things, and I don't like to feel hate. So when George Floyd had his neck healed on, I asked a cop. No cops would talk to me. You know why? Because the thin blue line. They don't talk to me. I'm not a cop. They only talk to their gangbanging organization members. Is that an organization that you want to serve and protect you? Because that's what we want. And then you turn around and talk about how you back the blue. We're not supposed to back the blue. They're supposed to serve and protect us. We're not the doormats. We bend over backwards for these guys whose literal origin was to take black people back to their masters when they ran away. That was how the police began, the patty rollers. And they've only evolved into taking the property and giving it back to the rich. That has always been their job and always will be. But now it's even worse because now they have a thin blue line where they won't even talk about what they're doing. They won't talk to anyone. They won't have accountability. What kind of organization is that? That's a fascist organization. Even worse. So I don't understand how you could possibly think that not all cops are bad. If you're in it, I've seen cops that are good. They get fired, they get transferred, they get fucking moved. You talk against the thin blue line, you get fucked. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. So, how are you? Like, that's quantifiably done.
But
it's a problem.
It is a problem. I grew up in Chicago. I'm no friend.
And it's not like
a lot of policemen.
It's not like they can't just fucking or black or white.
But on the other hand,
there's something that can change. There's something they can change. They won't.
These people, like our military, they deal with the worst of the worst kinds of people. I mean, they see the.
Oh my God! So do I as a waiter. I don't care. Oh my God.
No, Tom. I mean, that's fine. You're dealing with people who eat. We're talking about like this girl who went after another person with a knife. I mean, they're saying they got.
That sounds like Zar Zamora. Zar Zamora on a Tuesday night.
So what? What? We have anarchy, community policing?
No, I'm saying we need to fix our problems and we need to stop making excuses for people in power. I've seen you, Doc, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to speak truth to you. You've made excuses for Trump sometimes when he does not deserve it. And you make excuses for cops when they don't deserve it. You need to let power answer.
I'm giving you
let power be responsible for themselves. We need no excuses for these guys. If they're in power, with great power comes great responsibility. My Uncle Ben told me that.
Yeah.
My Uncle Ben told me that. So no more excuses for these guys. They have a hard job. If they're working for $40,000 a year with no pensions and they're working long hours with very little pay, why do you think they're doing it? You think they're doing it because they want to serve and protect us?
A lot of them get into it for that. Yeah.
They're doing it because they have a hard-on for violence and they want to fucking beat someone's head in and not be fucking taken to jail. They want to do it because they beat their wife. Oh, she had dinner she's supposed to have dinner at 6. She burnt the steak. I didn't hit my work today. I'm fucking crunching on no-dos, drinking monsters in the car, waiting for someone to get pulled over. God damn it. That's why. So I want to beat someone's ass.
Thomas, you're kind of caricaturing.
Mens rea, the motive. What's the motive? I just gave you my perspective. What is the motive of a cop then? If they're working long hours, $40,000 a year, little pay, and what's the motive? What's the motive for that? They want to help? They want to help us? Is that what they want to do? What's the motive, Doc? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I mean, I have police in my family.
It's right out in the open. Then you would know. And by the way, back in the days where your dad or your mom, they had pensions, 401ks. This was before the banks were too big to fail. They destroyed with Wall Street's everybody's pensions and 401ks. No, we have nothing now. We have nothing. We're slaves to the corporatocracy. And guess what? The dogs are taking the property back for the rich.
So
it's what they've always done.
So what's the answer? More private ownership or less?
Private ownership. So
stop working for
this sounds like rhetoric.
Start your own business. Do your own. Make your own.
No, it's not enough. I mean, it's not enough because it's going to infect every part of our lives. That's what neoliberalism does. It infects every part of our lives. You may think you're safe from it when you have your own job. No, COVID just revealed to you. COVID just revealed that to you, Doc.
I don't know how
COVID just revealed that to you that we're not safe from that.
Boomers did not have it good. I grew up in the 60s. Fuck you.
First of all, we need to have power held responsible for their actions. Second of all
for that.
We need to check. We need to check power. We're not doing it, Doc. We're not doing it at
You
all.
get smeared.
We're not doing it at all.
You get smeared if you
I don't give a shit. Who cares? Only people that care. Tulsi Gabbard doesn't care. She's still around. She got destroyed. She's still around.
They
and she will outlast Hillary.
Look what they're doing.
She'll outlive Hillary Clinton.
With you, this is where you started. It was what they're doing to Giuliani. What's happening with all this?
Giuliani is an old, tottering, alcoholic, fucking transvestite, bro. I don't understand. I don't understand what you see these guys.
Yeah,
they're all scumbags. They're all scumbags, and then they've had their fucking time in the scum. I mean, this time he was wronged. I'll give you that. He was a scumbag and karma. I mean, karma, bro. Do I feel bad for him? Not really.
Was a scumbag for what?
Oh my God! I mean, the fucking him and Bloomberg. Back to back with the fucking stop and frisking and the fucking fear mongering and the fucking exactly the mayor. Yeah, he was the mayor of New York. Remember that?
Yeah,
he was a scumbag.
Okay,
as they all are in New York.
That's not what's happening to him now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying karma. What goes around comes around, comes around, comes all the way. So when the FBI knocked on his fucking doors, I didn't give a shit. But I will say this: it was wrong, not just. And I know why. I know why they're doing it. For power, control.
It's hilarious.
But on the other hand, do I shed a tear for Giuliani? Not really. Not really. I wanted Trump to win against Biden because I hate Biden. Did I shed a tear when Trump was walking his fat ass to the airport with his fucking briefcase?
I didn't know either.
Because he's a douchebag scum Cheeto who fucking literally did zip doodah and even littler to his enemies, which is why they're all around to kick his ass now. Literally, all his enemies are kicking his ass up and down the street. Tax returns. Fucking everywhere. They're going after his kids. They're going after his lawyers.
And they can't find shit. They still can't find shit.
It doesn't matter. Did you not watch Game of Thrones? You play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no in between. You play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, Doc. You can't just walk around calling people fake news and not expect a repercussion. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This power, they're all snidey, slimy little bitches, okay? Back in the day, King Robert Baratheon, he had a sledgehammer and he would whack the shit out of these people. That was power, okay? These slimy guys, they talk the talk. They don't walk the walk. And then Robert Baratheon comes back, or his son, what's his name? Gendry? Yeah, Lord of Storm's End is going to bash his head in.
Yeah. So
Joe Biden, he's, this whole time, bro, I mean, during the primaries, he made deals with Barack Obama. That's what he does. Joe Biden is the slimiest, backstabbiest, fucking dishonest liar of them all. And that's why he became president.
Plagiarist.
So do you see, Doc? Only the most slithering, disgusting, most savage people can be the leaders of our country. What does that say about us? What does that reflect on us? That we allow that.
Nothing good.
So that's why we can't keep making excuses for these guys.
But dude,
because he's a Republican, because he's a Democrat.
But
because he's a Trump.
You got people who
beat him up so hard.
People sit there and clap and cheer about like people getting hauled off to jail for not wearing a mask.
People clapped and cheered when Jesus was on the cross. Is this the king of the Jews? Who cares what people do?
Right.
What matters is what you do. That's what I'm trying to get back to people.
Okay.
I'm trying to get that to people. Who cares what they do? They can cancel Dr. Seuss. They can do whatever they want. You have to live your principles and values, guys. Guys, we have to be us. And the best way to get rid of this cancel culture is to not give a shit about it. The best way to end the game is to not play the game. That's how we win. So that's my message, guys. We got to stop caring. We got to stop playing. We have to. Please, God, let us stop. I'm just pleading with everyone. Everybody doesn't care.
I hear you.
I'm just so discouraged, Doc. Because then we're all talking about the free market and fucking all this shit. And literally all I ask is that we hold our fucking people accountable.
You are part of
and we can't even do it. Can't even do it, bro. We're so busy fighting each other.
You are part of the free market now.
I don't care, Doc. I want the Democrats and Republicans gone. I don't give a shit. You could call me Dumbo the elephant. And that I ride on the free market and I fuck it every weekend. I don't give a shit. Democrats and Republicans need to go. I'm a free market. I'll say it 10 times. I don't give a shit.
You're a free market of ideas, but you're trying to start your own thing here. And the way it would grow is to scale it. I mean, you joked about sponsors, but that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. That's the way it's always been, right? The conventional wisdom and the social norms. Interesting.
Okay.
What? Give me hope, Doc. Give me hope.
You kind of back me down today. I don't know what to say.
I'm just trying to be honest. I'm trying to have an honest conversation. You know, every time I try to have an honest conversation, people, they always tell
you don't. I don't.
They get. No, not you, because you know me. But
I get animated.
Like, why are you jumping down my throat? Why?
You and I get animated.
I'm not trying to attack you. People think I'm trying to attack them.
People
but
think
I'm not. I'm literally trying to find a way.
We're mad or we don't like each other. Like that's the opposite of the truth.
Yeah,
I can take anything. I was trained as a musician, man. I mean, we're for sake. Your whole life,
about sponsorship.
Everything about your life. You were a student. Everything about your life is constant. You know, harsh, constructive. Sometimes just plain old harsh and absolutely mean and vicious. Sometimes criticism. You know, just for nothing else. You know, you got to grow thick skin. I say it all the time. Like, I don't really care what people say about what they believe.
You were just arguing with Dagda about nature.
Well, he's throwing up. Like my landlord. I'm like, Dagda, buy your own house. I'm a real estate agent. I work on real estate investment. You can buy a house for less than you can rent it. Like, wake up and learn what the fuck is happening. A landlord is just a dude who bought, you know, probably your landlord. Talk to your landlord someday. Most landlords I know were like working class people, worked their fucking asses off. A lot of them built houses. They saved up money, bought a house, mortgaged that house, bought another house, rented that house out, and just kept going. And now they're landlords. It's like, Jesus Christ. You know, you could do it too. I used to rent this house I'm in for $1,000 a month. I wanted some education, $1,000 a month in rent, and that was cheap because it was my brother's friend. It should be charged $1,300 a month. I got a private mortgage. I didn't go to a bank. I got an investor, someone with money to put up the cash. I pay them back just like they're a bank at 4% amortization, a premium because I don't have credit. I'm not a bank, so I didn't get the 2.8% that a bank would give me, but 4% is fine. I pay $310 a month for this house because I own it. So shut the fuck up about your landlord shit. You can own a house for less than you can rent it for. I don't know what you pay for a first month's rent and last month's rent. I can show you for a fact. You can buy a house for less than you would rent it for.
Does it make you angry that he's talking about his landlord?
It's just, I mean, he's just like virtue signaling bullshit. I mean, it's like typical of like that kind of mentality. I grew up homeless. Glad you had a house. Fuck you. My father and mother divorced. I was 10 years old. I grew up in fucking Chicago. We had an old house. It fucking fell apart. We had an oil furnace. The furnace stopped. I was in my fucking
the furnace
in 2 fucking sleeping bags till January with no heat, no water. I had to go to my grandma's house for a shower like twice a week. So Dagda, like, open your goddamn eyes and like walk in someone else's shoes than your own bullshit. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, dude.
Glad you had a house. Fuck you.
I mean,
my brother was homeless for 7 years. I'll get you and my brother together. He was a fucking crack addict. That's why he was homeless.
I love having conservatives on my show. It's so funny.
Jesus.
I hear all these fucking stories about grandma.
I grew up homeless. Glad you had a house. Jesus Christ.
Who cares? People call me all of the sames. Oh my God, I don't care.
They buy many property and hoard it. Hoard what? How do you hoard houses?
Do you guys both understand how ridiculous you are? Because I think it's hilarious.
Can people see what he's writing?
This is 2:37 a.m.
It's America. Buy your own land, dude. You could be the landlord. You don't have to be a renter.
Doc, why do you feel like you have to like tell him these things anyway? Like, why?
He's the only one up writing.
Is it important?
I mean, this is coming. I see it on our stream.
You're helping him. You're helping him. You're doing a service. Is that what you're saying?
I hope. I hope. If he's gonna write shit like that,
I really want to get to the minds of
this is the kind of shit.
I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to pretend like you don't want to be labeled, Doc. But you are a right winger, and you have that mentality of because you always go back to your stories, your perspectives, and so how do you? I'm trying to figure out like
No,
how do you.
I believe in ideas, Thomas.
Okay,
Ideas
but
are
you
good.
always go back to your stories, Doc.
Going to bring up fine.
You went back to your grandma. You went back to your landlord. You went back to your.
Because
I didn't have a house. It was cold, and my grandma's still. I know, but see, that's what I'm saying. Every time he's talking to you, you go back to your perspective, and you just said,
"But I just
walk in someone else's shoes." You just said walk in someone else's shoes.
Yeah,
you went back to your perspective when he was talking to you.
I said those are my shoes. He's obviously working in his own. I'm telling him he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And I'm telling him I gave him an alternative. I have other kinds of knowledge that I acquired about how a regular kind of person, any person with literally $1,000 in their bank account can buy a house.
Wow.
If you think that's bullshit, I can show you that that's the fucking truth. I bought this house with money.
Doc, I believe you. So when they took all the houses in 2008 because of the subprime mortgages. So what happened then?
What happened then?
House? Yeah, what happened then?
Government
did.
Dodd-Frank legislation did that. So-called.
And could you tell me that? What was in Dodd-Frank? What was in Dodd-Frank that did that?
Few things. Well, and always in the guise of land is for all. Let's just stop with this guy.
He's my subscriber. He can say whatever he wants. Write whatever you want, Doctor. I love you, bro.
Land is for all. Okay.
He's my people.
Natives killed each other over land. Hope you know.
I'm so glad we're all just talking about these wonderful stories.
Because I did grow up. There was a thing called redlining that minority people were.
Doc, I asked you what was in Dodd-Frank. You got to give me 2 minutes.
Mortgage reform.
Move this along.
Mortgage and finance, house buying reform. Like everyone should have a house. No matter what, if they make $2 an hour and they can't pay their bills, they should get a mortgage and have a house. That's what Dodd-Frank did. Because we needed, minority representation in the housing ownership place, which is an absolutely noble goal. That's absolutely what should happen. But not at the expense of, handing out crazy ass mortgages on adjustable rate amortization. It was like they had all kinds of products. You could get a loan by claiming you had income. You didn't have to prove it. You just had to claim
and do you think that they were so stupid that they didn't know that? Because I think they
knew that. No, this is what they did, Thomas. Because
I know you're right. You said it was government. It
was absolutely government in conjunction with speculators and traders. Because what they did is took those to hedge their bets, literally hedge their bets. Right? You could call them hedge funds. To hedge their bets against what they knew were toxic mortgages. They knew a lot of these were going to fail.
Right.
And be foreclosed. They bundled them instead of just being mortgages. And basically only two companies, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, owned like 50% of the mortgages in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They bundled them
by design.
They bundled them into mortgage-backed securities is what they called them.
Right.
And you could trade them. And here's what happened. So it was the bust happened not mainly because of low income people. It happened on the top end because people kept buying up real estate with not even having to claim any income, and they kept, just like what happened with the tech bubble and the GameStop bubble.
Neoliberalism.
They blow up and inflate housing prices beyond what they're actually valued at, what the actual housing value is. Appraisers were in on it. They're overappraising houses. Mortgage people are in on it with crazy kinds of loans. And then...
So do you see what neoliberalism does? So
they created money.
It creates a necessity. So like after World War II, we had all these bomb makers. We need to stay at war because we have all these people with government contracts we need to pay, right? So now we have endless wars. So then you're talking about the mortgages, right?
Yeah.
We have all these things that we have to keep going. We have to keep going until there's a bubble and it busts. And that, Dr. Burgess, is neoliberalism. That's what it is.
That's not a free market, though. That is government meddling in the economy.
So you keep saying government meddling, but these industrialist corporatists bought the politicians to do that legislation so that they could have that result. And then But you blame the government. You blame the government,
right?
That you blame the government.
I do blame the government. They're the ones that
they're the puppets. Do you blame the puppets or the puppet master?
Fine, but they're
like Pinocchio or Geppetto. I'll get it.
Bezos does not write the tax code.
How do you know that?
Legislators do that.
How do you know that? He can write whatever he wants. He writes
doesn't
the Washington
do it,
Post.
Thomas.
He writes
He
every
doesn't
word in
do
the
it.
Washington Post.
He
Why
may
can't he write the tax code?
have politicians in his back pocket, but legislators legislate.
Okay.
We have a tax code because of the government, not because of corporations.
Clearly, we have a fundamental disagreement on how bad it's gotten. I think you still think that Jeff Bezos doesn't fucking write the tax code. He does. He owns the tax code. He owns every book in the fucking tax code library. Okay. He does what he wants.
He pays.
He's stepping down from Amazon.
He pays for
the executive chair.
He pays for influence, and he owns a newspaper. I agree with that.
Okay,
but he does not write the law.
That's what
He's not the regulator.
I agree to disagree. I agree to disagree because he does.
He doesn't write any laws. What does he do? What law has he written? What has he written? What has he done? Did he write it, or did Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party?
I don't know, because they take the letterhead off whenever they pass those bills into fucking Congress. Except for that Verizon bill. Remember, Verizon wanted to write a bill, so they just faxed it to the guy, and they still have the Verizon letterhead on. The bill still has the Verizon letterhead on the bill. These guys are writing the laws, Doc. If you really don't think they are, I'm sorry. I disagree. I disagree with you. They are. It's plain as day. They are.
They have
plain as day. 48 hours they bailed out the bank's military industrial complex on Wall Street.
Right. Who bailed them out?
Plain as day. They're writing the laws.
Who bailed out the banks? Who bailed out the banks?
Oh my God! Everybody did. Bush did.
The government.
You know what's funny?
Did.
Bush didn't want to at first. Timothy Geithner and fucking Cheney fucking talked him into it.
The government bailed them out.
You're already in trouble with that fucking
World Trade Center. The government bailed them out, and with what? Bailed them out with what?
So,
our tax dollars.
With what? Yeah, exactly.
The government bailed. The government bailed out the banks.
Yeah. So they bailed out the banks. It's like when you're fucking when you're a teenager, you're drunk driving, and your fucking mom picks you up because you got into a car accident. She hands you a tequila bottle on the way back home. That's what happened.
The reason they can do that is because the government is the mob.
It's because they own the government. The private sector owns.
They don't. If
the private sector owns the public sector.
If the government got out of business, the business would have nothing to do with government.
What?
If they couldn't buy influence, there's nothing legislators could do.
Influence.
Can't get rich.
Influence. That's an interesting word. I'm listening to what you're saying. And I'm just thinking out loud. Because influence. Is that responsible for the super PACs, the dark money, and the campaign contributions that get people in office and stay that way for 30 years?
Absolutely.
Is that private influence? Is that influence?
That's influence peddling, yeah, or influence buying, bribes, basically legal bribing, yeah.
Right. So bribery.
But that's the mob.
You make it sound so interesting.
Because the government has the power, as they did. Who shut all the businesses down? Who did that? Did Jeff Bezos do that? Did Mark Zuckerberg do that? No.
Yes.
No.
Jeff Bezos did.
They did not.
Jeff Bezos wanted to double his wealth.
But they didn't do anything.
So he made everybody stay at home so everyone could buy online.
He did not.
No.
Mario Cuomo did.
Exactly.
Where I live did. Gavin Newsom in California.
Who owns these guys? It's like they're the puppets, bro.
They're puppets.
They don't have a fucking original thought in their heads.
But they can't do anything until the government says you can't do this. Then there's a law or a regulation. It has to come from a governor or a government or a city council or a mayor.
Right. Okay.
I get
that.
It's both.
I know how that works, but I'm just saying that like I keep saying, the private sector owns the public sector, and then they blackmail them or they pay them off, and then they get the laws done. They literally fax the laws to them.
I love Germany. Yeah, I'm really philosophy.
There's thousands of examples, like the bank bailouts. Literally, the stay-at-home orders, the lockdown was for Bezos. I don't understand how people don't see that.
Damn fucking right, Dagda.
It was for Bezos.
I am.
Bezos did that. He wanted to retire, so he literally he struck up the fear mongering. Never take advantage of a good crisis go to waste. He took it. Yeah. Internet commerce, 50% owns. He made everyone buy it online, and he doubled his wealth, and now he can retire and step down as executive chair. And you think it was the politicians that did that? Oopsie. It was Bezos.
The politicians shut us down.
Yeah, politicians did it. Yeah, but who made the politicians do it?
Nobody.
Okay, so fundamentals disagreement.
They don't want to be.
You really honestly think that? Okay, I disagree. I do. You believe in like some interesting things, but you can't believe that these fucking billionaires with $180 billion didn't fucking buy politicians to make laws for them. That's interesting.
You're changing that. You're not saying what I was saying. I absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry. What are you saying?
Believe what you said. I believe what you said.
That's what
you're not kidding me.
That's what I've been saying for like the past 5 minutes. No,
you're trying to say something opposite, and I'm not saying anything.
What are you saying?
Opposite what you're doing.
What are you saying?
That absolutely they buy influence, but how can they? How?
You keep saying influence.
The government. I agree with what Reagan said. Government is the problem. The government is what bails us out. The government is what makes the laws, what makes the regulations, what makes the tax codes, which regulates zoning. Are they bought and paid for by other people? But yes, but that's because they've got their hands out too. They can send people to shut your business down until you pay them, until you make some $100,000 regulator into a multimillionaire. How did Joe Biden become a freaking multimillionaire from Scranton, Pennsylvania? Blah blah blah.
I mean, everything you're saying is just
what I was saying. He hasn't made a fucking thing for people. Business people make stuff for people. Business people are generally pretty generous, decent people on the whole.
Oh my God. Okay.
On the whole, Thomas, everything
on the whole,
on your
preparation,
ears, on your
preparation,
eyes, every piece of clothing you have, everything in your house, someone made that. Someone made that. A business person figured out how to make that shit and get it to you.
That's cool. Thank you. Appreciate
it. That's business. That's what business people do.
They're not all good people.
Most of them are.
Most of them are. Jesus said, we are all fucking sinners, falling short of the glory of God. Without his blood, we'd all be in fucking hell. I'm just like, I'm trying to do a correlation. In case you haven't noticed, we're not good people. Our nature is selfish, and our nature is human.
Our nature is dual.
Our nature is indulgences. Remember indulgences back in the Catholic Church?
Talk about Western hegemony. You're giving me like
that was business. That was business.
You're giving like Western Christian theology.
No, I'm just talking about our nature. I'm talking about
our Roman Catholic Church kind of.
I'm talking about the human nature of us. You can't deny it. We're driven by our cravings and our desires.
We're also inherently
and our indulgences.
We're also inherently generous and loving, and we contribute to people.
Are we? Do we?
Yeah, we do, and we are all the time. I can show you for every bullshit thing that happens, I can bring up 100, 1,000 acts of good in the world.
That's very optimistic, though.
Every day.
I feel like you're just wasting your time because bad things are still happening, and it seems to me that you're just like making excuses.
Bad things get recorded and on the news. What good things do and what good people do is not fucking go run to CNN to talk about what they did.
Right. You're right about that. That's why, Doc? It's because we're not inherently good people. That's why. Because if we were inherently good people, then the good would be rewarded more, wouldn't it? Wouldn't good be rewarded more if we were inherently good, Doc? Wouldn't it?
I think, in the end, I think good is rewarded more, just not by the government.
How?
I think good is rewarded more.
How?
You talked about karma. What is karma? Karma works both ways, Thomas.
Yeah.
Karma is not just a negative thing.
Oh, I know that.
Karma's karma.
Hopefully not. I'm betting on it because I got all the negative already. I'm waiting for the positive.
I've had plenty of negative, despite what this freaking idiot talks about.
So,
Western sympathizer.
We're inherently
see a lot of homeless.
We're inherently territorial. Darwin explained it very well with evolution. The monkeys, literally matricide. You know about that matricide. Remember we're not. You disagree with Darwin?
Yeah.
Student of evolution?
Yeah, I wrote a thesis about it. Absolutely do.
So you do you agree or disagree?
Disagree.
You disagree with evolution? How so?
No, not evolution. The idea, I disagree
natural
with
selection?
Idea,
you disagree with natural selection?
I disagree with the idea that we are part of some random, purely material, chance sort of system that has no purpose and no meaning, and things like a human being, like we say that you look at like a fifth grade science project creates some kind of like half mechanized robot that does something and like picks up something like this, and we go, yeah, someone made that. But a person that can do everything a person does, that just happened. Random mutation. It just happened. That's
okay,
bullshit.
So you're disagreeing with Darwin's random mutation theory.
Correct.
So
there's
like 4 different aspects of evolution.
Darwin's
right?
theory.
There's natural selection. There's mutation. There's what do they call it when they're walking around? They go different places and then they mix with different species. So we apparently mixed with the Anthropocene.
Yeah.
And the fucking, what do they call those things? Numbskulls? What do you call them?
This is the truth. What my thesis is that evolutionary biology, that form of evolutionary biology, is basically religion for atheism. It's religion? For atheists.
Why? Why is that?
Well, because it tries to explain how everything got here, how you can have the kind of complexity we have, given that there is no creator, there is no purpose, there is no design. It's a theory created in the negative, like a thought project that Darwin did.
A thought project?
And it's got a lot of projects. Yes.
Okay. But what about like our nature that's so similar to primates? The fact that we're territorial, the fact that we we fight over the other species, the sex, the sexual what do they call it? Competition.
I know Taoism.
Huh?
This guy is such
Doc, stay on track. I'm talking. Oh my god. Fuck it. I don't know. I feel like we're not getting anywhere.
Two different copies of the Tao Te Ching.
I mean, I feel like, you know what? I feel like we are actually going somewhere, Doc, because I feel like even though that like this conversation is not going to help us get rid of the Democrats and Republicans,
right?
It really give me some insight into you. You're a very optimistic person. You're a good person. You're a good guy.
Not because good things happen to you, Thomas. Not because
I'm not saying that. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'm not saying
trying to compliment you.
I don't want people to get the wrong impression.
I'm just trying to compliment you, guy.
I got you, but I'm not optimistic. I'm not optimistic just because I don't know why you're optimistic. View of the world, as this guy seems to think.
Unlike you and Dogda, I don't really give a shit what other people think. So I wasn't going to ask you why you're optimistic. I was just complimenting.
Okay, I am. I have a generally.
I was going to say I like that. I didn't need to know the story about Grandma.
I believe in people.
I didn't need to know.
But why am I a teacher?
Oh my God, we're good. Can you tell me about Grandma, Doc?
No. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm messing with you. It's because, like, literally, I feel like what's that?
I do have an optimistic view of human nature. Not without.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. You're a good guy.
Not without complete understanding the hideous and evil part of it, because it's part of my own family history.
In my observation, I feel like you do understand that. Of course, you're a very smart person, but you kind of just what's the word? You kind of sweep that not sweep it under the rug, but you go with your optimism, and Jeff Bezos doesn't fucking make the laws. I don't want to see that. Cops aren't fucking maniacs who just fucking want to be cops to beat people in the head. They just want to fucking serve and protect. That's cool.
Generally not. I mean, you're creating you argue in sweeping generalizations. And
I do. You said people are good.
And that's from your personal experience.
I'm from human nature. Human nature to be that territorial. We're inherently territorial nationalists. Remember nationalism?
I'm all for nationalism.
Okay, well, see, that's territorial. It's very territorial.
Good.
Are you for open borders?
No. Are you fucking
kidding? So I thought you would help everybody. I thought you would give everybody a fucking break because you're such a nice person. I thought you cared about everybody. We're so inherently good.
That's not being nice. That's like me being a teacher giving everyone an A just because they came to class.
I mean, teachers do that.
Well, it's stupid. That's not being a teacher. Well, that is not helping anything. That's not being very optimistic either. That's being extremely pessimistic.
That is?
Absolutely.
How so?
Because it means you're trying to believe that people can't rise up to a challenge. It has the lowest view of human nature that you could possibly have.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's why when the liberals...
It's called the bigotry, the soft bigotry. It's not even soft bigotry. It's just outright bigotry of low expectations.
That's why when the liberals tell me that I can't get an ID because I'm black or I can't open a laptop, and they mean it so nice. They're like, oh, you're black. We're just trying to. This is so racist, right? You can't go get an ID because you're a fucking black guy. Biden told me I couldn't open a laptop.
Like,
they mean it so nicely, but they're fucking.
Black people don't drive cars.
Racist.
Yeah, black people don't drive cars. They don't get licenses. I've been to the fucking DMV.
It's weird, bro. So I understand the why. Give it. I understand. That's why I understand a little bit of the other side. The right. But I don't think it's all bad. I think with a healthy mix, we were supposed to work together. We were supposed to work together for the common good. So I respect a lot of conservative ideals. I respect a lot of left wing ideals. I think we're supposed to work together for the common good.
Me too.
So that's what I think we're supposed to do.
Those guys doing like what's his face?
So
the karate guy.
The thing that's getting in the way of that, Doc, is the fact that they're dividing us and
water becomes a bottle.
It's just so sucky because we have to take time out of our, working for the common good to take out the trash. We can't do any more working for the common good until we take the trash out.
Well, dude, you
can't buy any more furniture.
You brought up the shit in the living room analogy.
Yeah,
so we all got to fumigate that shit.
We do because we can't even talk about these things. I would love to talk to you about the free market. Unfortunately, there's thieves in the treasury. They're wheeling out fucking money every fucking time. This infrastructure bill is hilarious. You know what's funny, Doc? Nobody knows what's in the infrastructure bill. Nobody's asking. All we know is it's going to be, New York Times called Joe Biden the $6 trillion man. $6 trillion. Remember when they fucking said the deficit? They cried about the deficit when Trump did the CARES Act? Oh, $2.2 trillion? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Now they're fucking calling him the $6 trillion man, proudly.
And that's not enough.
Mainstream media is a joke.
Listening to Jimmy Dore and Crystal Ball and these people, they're like, that's just like half measures. That's like half measure.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up, guys. This is the lesson, guys. We have to take progressive action. That's what Domination Politics is about. We have to, take the trash out.
Yeah.
We have to force the vote with AOC. These guys are not going to do their jobs. We have to make them do their jobs.
You sound like
we have to hold them accountable for their actions. Do you understand, guys? I don't care if you think you're a Republican or you think you're a Democrat. Hold your representatives accountable for their actions and force them to do our will.
That means
they're not there. They're not there as celebrities. They're not there as fucking Bill Maher fucking pedestals. They are there to serve the will of the American people. So we must force the vote. Okay? We have to. We have to be free-thinking, innovative, and open-minded. And we must work together for the common good, despite all of our fucking differences about how we think about cops or the free market. We have to fucking swallow all that shit up, hike it up, like just like Dr. Burgess did with his grandma. Fucking drive up the hill in the snow without shoes on.
I did that.
Have to fucking fight that shit.
I had a hill.
Oh, I want to talk about cops so bad right now, but we can't. We got to get rid of the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay, guys? So that's what the lesson. You don't fall for the bait and switch. We can talk about our left and right differences later. We'll work together for the common good. Well, first, we got to be free thinking, innovative, totally open-minded.